Hey friends, welcome back to a new edition of Off the Cuff. Um, we're gonna do tonight's a little differently because I recorded the entire thing with everything and all of my fun thought out whatevers, and my computer decided to crash and not save it. So that's super cool. So what we're gonna do tonight is I'm gonna kind of go over what the majority of the reviews I'm seeing say about The Wall. If you don't remember The Wall, I'll put it in the description, but a quick synopsis of it is that it is the tale of two American soldiers near the end of the Iraq War, and they get stuck one of them gets stuck behind a very flimsy brick wall when an Iraqi sniper opens up on them. And it's basically the story of uh, the actor Aaron Taylor Johnson's character talking to the Iraqi sniper, and we kind of get to know his character and why he's there doing his thing near the end of the Iraq War. So, really, it's a really interesting movie in that regard. What I've seen a lot of in these reviews is first and foremost is the ending. A lot of people are really turned off by the ending, and I don't want to spoil it in case anybody wants to watch it. And if you have thoughts on the ending or any part of the movie, please feel free to comment. I can't say whether or not I like or dislike the ending. I think it's just it's kind of there, and it's an interesting choice to make. But I'm not sure I actually enjoy it. To be perfectly honest. Um, but it's not the worst movie, or it's not the worst ending of the movie that it could have been. Um, a lot too of this movie that I've seen in the reviews is it's very split. Um, a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is really unrealistic for the military. This isn't really how this works," and blah 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 blah. And there may be a certain amount of truth to that, but it gets to the point where the movie needs to start happening in a way that is not unrealistic to me personally. Because all it takes is one mistake, and I apologize for the camera constantly zooming in and out. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I need to try and fix it. It's on a stable platform. It's doing its own thing, but it just feels like focusing and unfocusing. So sorry about that. Um, this movie, it as far as the quote unquote unrealistic side of it, as far as like military practice and stuff, I it takes one or two mistakes for things to really spin out of control in a combat situation. So in that regard, I personally can suspend my disbelief in that aspect of the movie, but I can also respect that's like, oh, this isn't really how that would work. Um, but again, I don't have an issue with it. The other thing I think is interesting that's been brought up in these reviews is this movie, because it's not quite the you rah rah American movie that people might want it to be. Um, it's like, oh, Americans won't like this movie and give it poor ratings because it's not like your traditional military movie where it's just the Americans show up and save they're the cavalry, they show up and they save the day, which I like to think Americans are a little bit more nuanced than that, biasly as an American, right? But it's interesting to think about of certain people who you know are, I don't know how to word it without sounding uh, politically charged. People who really like wrap themselves up in the flag and they really are like you rah rah. I think there can be enough introspection to look at a movie like this and to even look at war in general. Like sit there and say, should we have been in Iraq? Like that. Like I think there's enough nuance because I think a lot of people like breaking Americans down to pro military, anti military, or pro-war, anti-war, and I think there's a lot more nuance to that, even within American society. I think there's the that human nature really want to break things down into black and white, and there's so much more nuance to these things. So I don't want to go into it in that regard as far as like full society thing, but I think to make the blanket statement that Americans aren't going to like this movie generally speaking because it doesn't portray Americans in the best light, I think is not true. I think people can enjoy this movie even if it doesn't portray Americans in the best light, specifically given the war in Iraq, where, America was there kind of under false pretenses and all this other stuff. Again, I don't want to get into like the politics and that sort of thing, but all that to say, I think Americans can be nuanced enough to know, like, oh, I can enjoy this movie that's not like that's like showing America in the best light, and I can still enjoy it. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a lot of it has to do. A lot of the reviews had to do with the ending and whether or not this is actually that accurate or not. I, and yeah, again, just to go over the accuracy stuff, that stuff doesn't bother me. I just suspend my disbelief enough um, to get through it. I would recommend watching this movie. It's on Amazon. I think it's an Amazon original, which is better than some other Amazon originals like War of the Worlds. So yeah, I would highly recommend this movie, even if you know, even if it's something that's not up your alley. If you think of like a war movie, like I'm not really into that. It has elements of that, but it's definitely more dialogue heavy. And I think that's another thing that a lot of the reviews are saying is like, oh my gosh, it's so boring. It's like watching paint dry. It's all those stuff. And I think part of the problem is the marketing for this movie was very, let's focus in. Oh, we have John Cena in this movie, and let's focus in on the shooties. But this movie is a lot more dialogue heavy than the trailers made it out to be, I think. So I think the marketing kind of failed the movie in that regard. Um, which if you're a war movie, of course you're gonna as marketing you're gonna go through the shooties. You're gonna show those scenes more than you're gonna show they're talking intensively over the radio. But that being said, I still think it's a good enough movie to give you a quick watch. And it's an hour and a half. It's a short movie. It's not it doesn't feel bloated. It doesn't feel like anything is unnecessary is in the movie. So, and that's one of the things I really like about movies is, don't put stuff in there that's unnecessary. And I think this movie does a pretty good job of that. So sorry for the different format. Let me know what you think. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash anymore because it's sad and old. Once again, we'll give a quick shout out to our Diamonds in the Rough over on Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel as a free or paid member, I'm going to try and get these videos up over there first so you have early access. Maybe try and do stuff like Q&As. I'm really trying to get the movie comments or the movie commentary tracks up. We just did Season of the Witch, so I'm going to upload that probably in the near future. So yeah, if you're interested, head on over. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, welcome. I'd love a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or enjoy what I'm doing here. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one.